It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, today I wanted to talk about a bit of a Reddit post here, and it really came to my attention from Unworldly Line 47 for sending the link to this in the suggestions tab on the Discord community. And as you can probably see from what we're looking at here, it was actually removed by a moderator, but we do actually have a screenshot of what the original post says, just for reference. So as you can see here, it says, titled, "If you use anti-tunnel aggressively, stop complaining about tunneling." And it reads, "I'm really sick of hearing that they hate when killers tunnel and the same people use their anti-tunnel aggressively. I like to watch TTV's VODs to watch matches from the other side and learn more, and the amount of times I've had a TTV say, 'Why did you tunnel me?' in endgame chat when they use the anti-tunnel aggressively to body block me, and admit to it telling their unhooker to run while they block the killer is insane. No, you're not being tunneled when you use your off-hook BT aggressively, and you're basically asking the killer to chase you. On top of that, a lot of people seem to not know what tunneling is. If I hook one survivor, then two, then three, and then one again, and they use the BT aggressively and I kill them, sorry devs, that's not tunneling." So I wanted to bring this to your guys' attention, because I think that this is important to really understand like what we're dealing with within this DBD community. And mind you, it says that it was removed by a moderator, and they try to give some kind of explanation. But when you actually read what this is saying, it's talking about saying like rule number 2 for stay on topic and appropriate. I'm like, isn't that exactly what we're talking about within the game? And then notice that tunneling is probably one of the many, like the main discussions people talk about on, like, just looking at the sidebar here with all these posts. All of them say tunneling is considered scummy, or forced tunnel, or anti-tunneling, or punished for being tunneled out, or hey, do something about the tunneling. Tunneling isn't toxic. Why isn't tunneling so bad? So they have like a whole bunch of like posts already talking about it. So I'm not really understanding how this is not on topic. Appropriate is also a bit misleading, because when you actually read the post itself, it didn't have anything misleading. We're talking about the game itself and the strategy. So I'm a bit confused as to why they're removing that in the first place. And it gives us a whole bunch of bullet points that has nothing to do with anything, right? Because when you even read all this stuff, which is not really necessary, but if you care to read it, it will be linked in the description. But none of this has anything to do with what the post was talking about. So to me, it seems like they have a bunch of people around even the Reddit space and even the DBD forums and things like that, that they're trying to sort of silence people that disagree with the larger narrative. At least that's the impression I'm getting, because why are other posts about this just not being removed? Yet when you look at the post that was being removed, all it said was that people are against tunneling despite the fact that they're misplaying the match. I mean, maybe it could be the fact that they discussed like they had looked at VODs or something, but that doesn't really make much sense. So I'm a bit confused by it. I'm not really understanding what that's about. And I wanted to at least go over some of these responses as well, because I think it also offers a little bit of some insight into this topic. This person says, "Agree, if they use their base kit BT endurance to body block after an unhook, I'll try to move around them once. After that, they are my new target. I'm delivering them back to the lobby. Sometimes I'll just down them," they say, anyway, because they forget it's 15 seconds BT. Which I can say with personal experience, when I did play the game, that's what I would do. If they ever decided to body block, I'm just going to down them again. Which, mind you, most of the time I was going to down them anyway. But the fact that they decided to stay there only gives me the advantage. Now, the problem is, obviously, with the overabundance of the endurance and how long it lasts, in combination with the amount of pals there are, in combination with the amount of second chances they have, in combination with whatever other bullshit that the game has to offer today, it makes it even more difficult. But on average, that's what the strategy was. That's what it was supposed to be. Um, so they say only way to be truly anti-tunnel is to be good at looping and or have teammates who know how to save you. Perks can save you temporarily, but if the killer knows what they're doing, even the perks don't matter. Which is you know, bit of a coin flip. It really just depends on the players that the killer is facing, and it also just depends on uh the survivors themselves as well as the killer player, stuff like that. There's a lot of variables that go into that topic. It's hard to nail it down, I guess you could say. Um, they say no miter is practically useless if the killer doesn't leave you to chase someone else. You can get lucky and get a single down stun on a killer, but depending on the killer and their build, that just buys you seconds and pisses them off. So they have an angry killer chasing you. Now I'm not really too sure who's running no mither in this day and age. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's been pretty useless. I'm could have sworn it's been useless. But you know, that's just me. They say that they can bring gen perks when telling someone else they can turbo. That's pretty funny. But yeah, this person says that they get wicked crazy value out of my no mither build. So that kind of tells you, the type of these type of players that we're dealing with within the DBD community. Just saying. I mean, if they're running around saying that they can use no mither, like, come on, bro. This is what I'm trying to tell people, man. And like, I understand that the vast majority of this game are hyper casuals that go against other hyper casuals, and then their perk selections and builds are so vastly different than what's actually effective and what actually is going to be going to work against, you know, any competent players. I understand that. So it's always outlandish to hear like, oh, no mither goes crazy, and it's like, what? Like, what? Who are you against that they're not killing you and immediately putting you on a hook? Like, who are you facing? Like, that they're not taking advantage of this? Like, huh? Like, it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. I mean, anytime I've ever had a no mither, I'm immediately going after them and killing them instantaneously. Because 9 times out of 10, they're hiding. And they're one hit, so all I have to do is land one hit. It's not that difficult. I'm not ever gonna leave them on the ground because they're one hit away from death. So, and then for some reason, though, like Domichi here gets downvoted because he said that he gets free kills of the perk, which I don't really understand that either. Like a die, like it's an obvious thing. If you're going in there if you're going in there, you're gonna get found. I don't know, like, what the hell are they talking about, bro? I don't know, man. It just, I don't know. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. So this person, I think Domichi here is responding to, it looks like something about like the no mither. So this isn't about anti-tunnel perks, but how specific type of players use them aggressively then complain they got tunneled, which is a valid point. But yeah, so let's continue. So they say, my favorite is when I'm on hook and the teammate farms me off of hook for no reason, then gets pissed I don't take a hit for them. I have no problem doing that in the right context, but generally speaking, sorry bud, this endurance is to protect me, not you. Which is, yeah, that's just how it is, honestly. Like, there's a lot of these survivor players that just have zero understanding as to what the hell they're talking about. They have they base all their opinions on feelings instead of it facing the facts that you're bad at the game, and it's okay if you're bad at the game, but you can't be going into every single match going, I gotta win every game, if you're not trying to learn the game. Like, you have to pick a lane. If you're casual and you're enjoying the experience of the game itself, like the gameplay loop in itself, versus trying to win all the time, are two different ways to play and two different paths. You can't do both at the same time. It's just not possible. Because the second you start trying to optimize and focus on trying to win to the best of your ability, you're going to lose something. There's always going to be something that is going to fail. But like, that's just how it works. So this person says, I think complaining about the other side trying to win is generally kind of cringe unless you're trying to make a point about the strategy, perk, whatever else it's itself being unbalanced, which is a different kind of debate. The whole idea is that the other person owes other players anything more than commitment to playing the game they signed up for until its conclusion, such an insanely delusional entitled take. They aren't villains for trying to escape or kill. They aren't villains for trying to... So this guy is just yapping, which has nothing to do with the point. So OP responds, the problem is the complaining about being tunneled when they use their BT aggressively. That's the problem is... don't have a problem with anti-tunnel outside of shoulder. That perk is just fundamentally broken. So then they respond by saying, I mean, it's one of the narrow examples of the overall entitlement issue. Using anti-tunnel strategically because of free resources the game gives you is a reasonable strategy. It can be unbalanced, but you should be using it in certain situations. But because some people think they're owed not being tunneled to the point that they feel they have to just metagame around it and still get away, we have a psychological case study. Which I'm like classic people on Reddit, I guess, or whatever the hell, because the point is written there. They make up some other bullshit and then try to go, well, yeah, but you know, and it's like, what does that have to do with the fucking point? Like, the point was already made. Either you agree or disagree. But it's like, let me explain it again. And then it's like, we already know that. It's like, this is all obvious if you're reading the fucking post. Makes no sense. So then we get one of the killer main LARPers right here, as you can see, because you know what is, anytime you ever see a sentence or a paragraph as this brawlic, and then you see as a killer main, welcome to the DBD community, you just find yourself a killer main LARPer. So then they say, I strongly disagree. I think it's entirely fair game to criticize killers who abuse the unbalanced game design flaw that is tunneling to essentially force a win. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what the fuck? What are we talking about? Huh? Bro, that's like, that's literally like trying to complain at somebody's like using, I don't know, like using long combos in a fighting game. Like that's how the game is designed? Like that's how the game works? Your job is to keep them in the air to deal as much damage as you can so that they were to, oh, I don't know, get KO. Like that's what you're looking for in a fighting game. That's what you're looking for with even a shooting game. It's like you're playing Siege and they're mad that you're mad they shot you in the head. It's like, yeah, because it takes one bullet to hit you in the dome so you go down. Like, duh. Like, you know, you're supposed to shoot me in the chest so I can get more of a chance to shoot back. Like, no. People are gonna play it to win. Like, what are we talking about? But it's unbalanced and it's not fair. Like, what? Like, what are we talking about? That's what I'm saying. Like, the second you see this, it's over for you, bro. Like, you already lost the entire argument, bro. Let's see. At least in solo queue where survivors can't coordinate a counter effectively, that's almost guarantee a win unless killer just happens to pick a target that's way better than them in chases. This is a game. I'm like, but if it is a game, then why are you bitching and calling it unbalanced design flaw? What the fuck? You're not a killer main, buddy. Like, pack it up. Come on, buddy. The entire job is to kill, so what else is there to do besides kill? I don't understand that. What the hell? We're here to have a fun competition. It's not a fight for survival IRL. Like, buddy, come on. Like, this is what I've also been saying within the DVD community, is that you'll have people like this that will criticize the killer players for utilizing strategy, but somehow they also forget that survivors also use strategy. So notice that they just bitch and bitch and bitch about killer, but you never hear, oh yeah, and the survivors keep using this too, so then blah, blah, blah. Like, it's only just focused on just specifically bitching about what the killers are doing. I don't understand that logic. Like, there's this really strange double standard that happens within this community, where for some reason the killer's always a bad person for literally utilizing strategies that are, oh, I don't know, used to complete the goddamn objective. Yet when survivors do the same exact thing where they can utilize different techs that are completely, genuinely exploits of the game's mechanics, genuinely, like the shift tech I don't think is intentional. It's not, no, there is no scenario where being able to freely vault the shack window, without it being blocked multiple times, we're talking past 3 times, is intentional when they already have it for every other window in the game. There's no reason that you should be able to phase through the killer. You should be able to like cancel out their prompts when you vault over something or decide to jump out of something. There is no scenario where a lot of these things should be in the goddamn game. Like, you should not be losing a hook for 90 seconds because a perk exists. That's a whole nother situation. That's a game mechanic that shouldn't be in the game, etc., etc. But there is a bunch of things in this game that are equally bullshit on both goddamn sides, to be fair. But the problem is the overwhelming amount is on mostly Survivor, when they're supposed to be the ones in the back foot, the ones trying to team up and survive together. That's the issue. But they, of course, don't want to see that because, you know, they only play killer or only play Survivor, don't look at it, the entirety of the fucking game. So anyway, you don't need to and shouldn't have a I will do literally whatever it takes to win, even if that means in destroying the fun and competitive integrity of the game. Like, what are you talking about? It can't be both fun or competitive. That's two different things. Like, we're not sitting here playing comp Friday the 13th. We're not sitting here playing comp Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Like, those are not things that happen. And that's the problem with DBD, is that it wants to be both. You can't be a party game and also be a comp game at the same exact time. Those are two different things. The only thing I can say that gets away with it is probably like Smash Brothers, but that's a fighting game. You can kind of get away with that. But with DBD, it's like the game is so fundamentally unbalanced that they have to apply like so many restrictions for it to even be somewhat fair. And it still leans toward the Survivor side anyway when you see these tournaments. He's like, abusing tunneling is like playing a game of like, buddy, you're talking about a card game saying that you're hiding cards in your sleeve. Buddy, what are you talking about? Huh? Bro says completely failing the, yeah, these people are delusional. Like, there is no way. Because notice, like, you don't see any, bro, look at this shit. His high and mighty attitude. Have some respect for yourself and choose not to abuse that shit in recognition of the fact you're here to play a game for fun. I'm like, clearly not, because both sides are equally trying to fucking sweat. Like, what are you talking about? Huh? Like, these people are dumb. Oh, okay, somebody responded. They said, this is the other part of the harmful mindset. By entertaining and agreeing with an idea that is a fair game to criticize killers who abuse the unbalanced design flaw, you're enabling the entitlement mindset I'm calling out. If something is unbalanced and a design flaw, the ones who should be criticized are developers for failing to address that. Clearly, there are some reason that they haven't done that. So we move on to the next party. Survivors are the ones dealing with the strategy and clearly refusing to do so, despite the amount of evidence entirely possible and very much interactive. Which is true, because when you're arguing that tunneling and all this other bullshit is somehow an exploit, which, bro, there's a big video that I covered in the past that covered somebody who was trying to claim that, oh my god, tunneling it is an exploit, and as we broke it down for them, they crashed out and turned into the Joker. You know what I'm saying? Believe it or not, it did happen. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it does happen, because for some reason they can't fathom the concept that they're fucking wrong. Like, it's okay to be wrong. You just gotta go, yeah, you got that, you know, I was misinformed, and you call it a day. You move on, you learn something. Like, holy shit. Anyway, and they're 100% right, by the way. Like, it's entirely, like I've described it in previous videos, you're getting spotlighted to say, can you handle this? Can you hold your own in the chase? How long can you do it? That's ultimately what it's asking you. And if you for some reason get bad luck, whether it be like your teammates use all the pallets, or you just end up getting hit from lag, or whatever the case may be, or maybe your perk was on cooldown or whatever, then sometimes you have to understand that it's just not entirely always your fault. A lot of the time it is, because a lot of people just die in seconds for no reason. But if you're using what you have and you're trying to buy as much time for your team as you possibly can, then you're doing your job. You're doing what you can. If your teammates are choosing not to do the objective, then that's out of your hands. You did what your job was. You did what you were supposed to do. Those are two different things. But anyway, they say not only that, you're taking the responsibility to make the game fun, fair, and balanced from the developers, and the responsibility to do everything in one's power utilize every existing tool, perk, or strategy to fight back from the survivors. On the killer player who's not responsible for any of that. Thank you. I'm glad that somebody said it. It said the killer is not responsible for making sure survivors have a balanced, fun, and fair match. That is the developer's responsibility to design the game and their matchmaking in a functional way. And mind you, top it off, the strategy is not an unbalanced design flaw. It's a strategy of deliberately finding the same target to exponentially progress your objective and apply pressure long term. Thank you. There is no other way to describe it. Survivors have a myriad of ways to combat that, both base kit and loadout wise. Calling tunneling abuse is the same as calling splitting generators abuse, except unlike the former, the latter barely got any nerfs and is accepted as a strategy, probably because people who use it don't give in to the entitled complaints. High-skilled survivors, and I want to explicitly say that it doesn't matter that much if they are solo or swift as long as neither of them are bad at the game, repeatedly show themselves capable of fighting back against that strategy by lasting in chase, delaying death, protecting their teammates using anti-tunneling perks, which proves that the fearsome abuse is merely a skill issue of the survivors, which obviously would be true for any efficient strategy the killer would dare to implement, including 12 hooking, if it was ever buffed to be on par with other macro strategies. If you don't understand that, you should indeed get a grip here. Thank you. I'm glad somebody said it. And then he continues to bitch and complain. As you can see, it falls apart. And this is why I spotlight this stuff, because this is important for you guys to see. This is important for you guys to understand, like, the type of people that are playing this game, the type of people that behavior is balancing their game around. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we're referring to. These people are fucking delusional. Like, and we're gonna go ahead and read it. Take a look. It says, expecting your opponent to game to not abuse clear game-breaking design flaws that the devs themselves have made explicitly clear that they view as problematic and are actively trying to find a way to shut down isn't entitlement. Not just wanting to have a fair game. I'm like, but yet survivors can fully utilize multiple exploits that haven't been fixed, haven't been adjusted, nerfed, or anything like that, and nobody bats an eye. And then when the killers are just utilizing strategies that are in the game specifically because of how the game is designed, and it's not like behavior ever said like, oh, we hate tunneling, we're trying to remove that. The only reason people give a shit about tunneling is because of all the survivors constantly bitching that they're getting tunneled instead of improving at the fucking game that they apparently love, which makes no sense. Because if you're playing the goddamn game all hours of the day, that's all you do, you just play DBD all the time, why are you not improving at anything you're doing in that goddamn game? That doesn't make any sense. You can't sit here and complain that you're going against a thing and then not even understand how to counter that. The only time that something is completely and utterly unbalanced and broken is that there's zero counters to that thing, or the counter is so insurmountable to counter that you would require so much effort to the point that it's insane. I would honestly use an example like Skull Merchant on release. Like, that was like some of the most insane levels of unbalanced killer shit. And on the other end, we can use is like, we can say the like that exploit that they were using to hide in lockers so they couldn't get damaged. That was an actual thing. They clipped into, like, survivors are able to clip into lockers so that they would never be able to take a hit. Believe it or not, that is a thing that actually happened. Those things are genuinely like exploits, broken, like, you know, to that extent where it's like, yo, there's no way to attack anybody or to be able to work around that. And we even can use Skull Merchant as a good example, because it took a comp team, like, what is it, like 58 minutes to try to like break the 3-gen that guy had. Like, those things are stuff that it makes sense. Like, those are design flaws, game breaking design flaws. And also you could even consider the streetwise bug if you wanted something more recent, stuff like that. Those things are game breaking. Those things are like, what is that? You cannot do anything against that. Utilizing a strategy that is literally countered by hiding perks, surviving in a chase while your teammates do the gen, stuff like that. That's not an exploit. That's not a design flaw. Like, you're an idiot. Like, ultimately, you're just an idiot. And you're gonna see that. So, get ready for this. They say, this is wanting to have a fair game, which is not entirely true. They want to say this is not comparable to doing the gens. So you're an idiot. Like, you're ultimately just a dumbass. That's all the only response you're gonna get, because you're genuinely an idiot. And then he wants to pretend he made up some like narrative, because remember, they're delusional, so they make up a narrative saying that, oh, it's frowned upon the devs and game design limitations. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he says, nor does countering it require something that a killer can be specifically locked out of. And then now he's making the claim that tunneling requires Swift to counter effectively. What? And then here's the end part that really brings out the entirety of the entitlement of this community with the survivor players within this community. Like, and it's not all, which is obvious, but people for some reason don't realize that. I'm not saying every single fucking player that's on Survivor. I'm talking about these type of people with these mindsets is what I'm referring to, because they say, quote, frankly, I didn't read your entire essay. My takeaway here is that you're probably just an unskilled killer who crutches this and is salty that people call it out. Maybe just get good. As you can see. So they like to sit there and cry and complain and expect everyone to read their bullshit. But the second that they're tasked with reading the response to that thing, they're immediately blocking and removing and ignoring and discounting everything that people fucking say. They literally create their own echo chamber. This is what I've been telling you guys, man. The DBD community is full of this bullshit. And then the person responds, says, buddy, if abuse has been in this game for 10 years straight with devs multiple times saying it's part of the game and not bannable, it's not an abuse. If you lack knowledge or awareness for that, I have nothing more to tell you. Clearly, or he says I'm casting pearls for nothing here. And then he says, Bozo got pissy and blocked me instead of responding again. Lamau, good riddance. Literally. It's insane. And then this person says, you blocking that person saying, well, but I didn't read your essay is laughable. No one owes a survivors a fun game. Dev said tunneling isn't cheating or bannable because it isn't. Yep. And then of course it seems like there's more delusion as well. And then because of this person responded again saying that this is delusion. And then of course developers, thing. Look right here, and it says, I'll be honest, 95% of the time I know says stuff like this the opposite of what they claim, which is probably, I'm assuming it's in reference to, I'm not really sure if that's in reference to anything. They're just, I don't know what that's talking about. So my question then becomes like, how did this entire post get removed then? But my estimation, obviously, is because this is the DBD community. They're trying to silence and gaslight. They're trying to villainize you for just utilizing strategies that are in the goddamn game, while survivors have plenty of exploits that are literally exploits. Like, there is no reason that those things should be in the goddamn game. That, mind you, are not by its design. Like, there's no reason that you should just be removing prompts from the killer player when trying to break a pallet, but you can vault over so it doesn't count. Or the fact that you can shift tech on a shack window, basically making it so that it constantly breaks off chase, so you can't actually block the window. Like, these things are possible. Just because the majority can't do it doesn't magically mean, which mind you, it's not even that hard to do, does not mean that the game is still just not broken. Like, they constantly have that mentality where it's like, if they don't see it, therefore it doesn't exist type shit. And it's like, you're just being a moron. Like, that has nothing to do with the game itself. That has nothing to do with anything besides yourself being dumb, because you're choosing to ignore facts and logic. And we've seen this with a couple different examples from these survivor players that do try to disagree with what we're saying, or the killer main larpers. Because as I've even talked about previously with another creator who tried to respond to my video in like an hour long, already disingenuously decided to say, I don't care about the point you made. So it's like, okay, then there's no conversation to be had. You're actively ignoring facts and logic. At that point, nobody can talk to you. Like, you're done. You're a bozo. Like, there's nothing else you can say. But anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section, of course. And consider checking out the other channels that are not DBD Slop, the Marvel Rivals channel, the video essay channel, that we're gonna have some videos up for that pretty soon. Hopefully at least you can get one out. And let me know your thoughts, man. Consider becoming a member on YouTube or Patreon to support the channel. I'll see you guys next time. All right, let's go ahead and read off these wonderful members. We got Patreon, Crow Vader. All my YouTube members, Brando, Evil Blade, Cap Courteous, WTF You're Not J-Lo, Evil Peach, Hargan Falcon, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Jack, Christian, and Crow Vader. Really appreciate you guys supporting, man. And if you also subbed on Twitch, just know that you got love coming your way too. Appreciate you guys, man.